Y'all, it's strawberry season, so let's make some strawberry jelly. The way I make it is, first thing is wash and cap your berries. I've almost got all my berries done, but I had these last two. They were just really big and pretty strawberries. I want you to see what kind of berries I got. And they're very, very tasty. Wash, cap, and slice your strawberries. So I've got all of my berries cut and sliced, and I'm ready now to put them into my jelly. So the first thing I like to do is take a few berries into a bowl, and I do it just a few at a time, and take this is a potato masher is what I'm using, and I just want to squish them around a little bit, get a little bit of juice out of them. And then I'm going to put them into a measuring cup, and I'm going to measure them a cup at a time, just like that. You don't have to do a whole lot. When you put sugar on these, it's going to make more juice, but I just like to help them get a little bit juicier and get them ready to cook. Let's do just a few more right quick. You can use anything you have to mash them. I just happen to have this potato masher, and it does pretty well. Now, I use the Sure-Jell brand of pectin in my jelly. That will be this. Your directions are in here. Everything you need to know about making your jelly is in that box. We're going to open it up, and I'm going to show you what we got in there. So I've got a good 1 cup of berries so far. I'm going to need more. We're going to look at the directions and see how many cups of strawberries that we need. So let me see. This is your Sure-Jell box bag of pectin, and here is our instructions. Let's see if we can find the strawberry jam on here, or strawberry jelly. This is the low sugar option. I like this one. I think it has plenty of great flavor using less sugar than the regular box, but you can use whatever you want, but just do it exactly like the instructions say. If it says, 5 cups, put in 5 cups. Don't try to cut down your sugar based on the fact that you feel like it might need less or more. Do what the instructions say, because sometimes if you mess with the sugar and make changes like that, it might not set up and gel properly. So let me see. I don't want the freezer recipe. Cooked jam and cooked jelly. So I'm looking for cooked jelly, and I'm looking for strawberry. Remove and discard strawberry stems. We've done that. We're crushing the berries. Add 2. Okay, so I need 4 cups of strawberry juice, which according to this will take about 16 cups of strawberries. So I'm going to work on that. I got quite a few berries here to mash. I'm going to start mashing up my berries and putting them into a salt pot, and I'll come back whenever we've got all the berries mashed up and in here and ready to cook. Okay, I'm finishing up my strawberries. So what I used was I had 3 cups of strawberries that I bought at the grocery store, 3 of the packages. And I've mashed up, or sliced them all up, and now I've mashed up all 3 of those and put them into my stock pot. The recipe tells you, like I said, the jelly recipes are in the Sure-Jell box, and it says that you need 4 cups prepared juice and 3 cups of sugar. So I've got juice / strawberries in my stock pot. That's how I always make mine, with I like to have a lot of the strawberry, meat of the strawberry, not just a lot of juice. So that's how I do mine. So I've got that. I've got my strawberries. Let me show you how they look. I've just mashed them. You could cut them, you could slice them up, however you want to do it. I just kind of like to mash them and get a little juice going, but still have some good pulp from the strawberry. So next we're going to add some, we're going to follow the directions. First it was to place the prepared fruit in a saucepan, and we're going to stir in some water and the Sure-Jell, but not the sugar just yet. We're going to put in the Sure-Jell, and I've got to get some 3/4 cup of water. And we're going to move it over to the stove to start it cooking. And we're going to bring it to a boil. And then it's got to get to a full rolling boil, which means it's got to be boiling enough to where when you stir it, it won't, the boiling won't stop. So we're going to get some water in this and set it on the stovetop, and then we'll come back. Okay, my strawberries are in the stock pot and they're starting to cook on the stovetop. While this is happening, you're going to cook these until they start to boil, and like I said, it's going to boil for 1 minute, and then you're going to add your sugar. So when you get everything on the stovetop, you can continue with a couple of steps while you're waiting on your strawberries to cook. Just stir them from time to time. So you're going to need sugar, and this recipe is the low sugar version, but it still calls for 3 cups of sugar. So I've got my sugar ready. When this comes to a boil, I'm going to boil it for a minute, then I'll add sugar, then it's got to come to a boil again, and then we'll be ready to put it in jars. So while I'm waiting on this to cook, I'm also going to get my jars ready. I'm probably going to need 6 to 8 jelly jars. I'll show them to you in a few minutes, but they're smaller size jars. I'm going to get those ready, and I'm going to get some lids ready and some rings ready. So I'm going to get that while I'm waiting on the berries to cook, and then we'll continue with the process. As you can see, the strawberries are boiling like crazy, and it's a boil that I can't stir down. So I'm going to continue stirring this for 1 minute. It's going to boil like this for 1 minute. And then after 1 minute, let's see what our instructions say. After it's boiled for a minute, a rolling boil, exactly 1 minute, remove from heat and stir in your sweetener. You can use Splenda, whatever sweetener you're using. I'm going to use sugar, 3 cups of sugar. Got my sugar ready, and I'll be pouring that in as soon as 11 more seconds go by. While this was cooking, it took about 10 minutes, 15 minutes for it to come to a boil. I got my lids ready and my jars ready. Okay, go ahead and stir my sugar in, and I'm going to turn off the heat, and I'll scoot it over just a little bit off of the heat. So while these were cooking, I got my lids ready, which are right there in this pan. I went to a class, and they said you don't have to put your lids in hot water anymore. That's been decided that it's not imperative that you do that, but I feel like it helps my lids. It sanitizes them, and I still do that. So I put them in water and let them just heat up and set on the eye till I'm ready to use them. And so here's our jelly with the sugar, and as you see, it has made a little bit more jelly. There's liquid. There is still some pulp in there. Some of the strawberry is still there. That's all going to be in our jelly. So now I'm going to move over to right down the cabinet here. You see, I got my jars ready while I was waiting on the berries to cook. I took my jars out, rinsed them, wash them, sanitize them, whatever you have to do. When I sanitize, I usually put them in the dishwasher. Mine has a sanitize feature, and that's how I sanitize them. You can do that, or you can wash them yourself. Mine were clean. I just rinsed them out, and now I have them ready to put jelly in. So let's go down the cabinet a little ways and start ladling our jelly into some jars. So let's talk about jars. I like to use jelly jars. They come in a few different sizes. This one, and I like these. And then there's some even smaller ones like this. Like this. You can use whatever size you like. Some people even like pint jars like this. That's a good bit of jelly. I would rather use these smaller ones for jelly. You can use whichever ones you like. You have to have your rings and your lids like this. You have to have these. We're going to use those to seal them with. And it's really good if you have a funnel that you can put on your jar, a good ladle, because we're going to be ladling out our jelly. After you do the hot water bath, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, this comes in handy to lift your jars out of the hot water bath. But we'll get to that in a minute. It's really easy, not a big deal, but I just want to do one step at a time. So what we're going to do is just take a good ladle full of jelly and pour it into our jars. You want to try to get your jelly to about the ring. You see this ring here? That's what I always get my jelly up to. So let's put a little bit more in this jar. Right there. And then we can go over to the next jar. So you see, it's a little bit below the ring, but it's right in there, right near the top part of the rim of the jars. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these up, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and we'll do some lids and rings. Let me go ahead and fill up another one so you can see it a little bit better. Right there. And when we start putting on the lids and rings, then we'll talk about the hot water bath. It's a really easy thing to do, nothing to be scared of. It's not pressure cooking. You don't have to worry about that. But we do want to kind of seal these lids on so that your jelly will stay preserved for as long as you have it. You don't want it to ruin before you get to eat it. Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes. So I have several jars of jelly here. I like to make enough for the season. I don't want to keep them for years on end, so I don't make gobs of jelly. What I have, this will last for a few months, or maybe I'll give some of them away. I'll give them to my kids. There's enough here for us for several months, but I feel like it's better when it's fresher. So I like to just make a small amount that'll last for a few months, not for months and years. So, I just like them when they're more fresh. But when you get your jelly in your jars, you need to take a rag and wipe off anything that might have dripped on the top part of your jars. The reason is because when you put your lids and rings on there, if there is jelly or any debris of any kind on there, it might keep it from sealing. So see, there's even some on the side here. I want to get that off too. It could keep the jar from sealing, and that means that it might ruin because it won't have a tight seal on it. Air get in it, and it won't be good jelly. It won't last. Now you're going to take these rings that you have heated up on your stove. They're just a little bit, just barely warm. We're going to put these rings on each jar, just like this. And then after this, we're going to put them in what's called a hot water bath. So you need a bigger pan, and you're going to fill it with water and put your jars into the water and let the water come to a boil and let them cook for about 10 minutes. That is sealing all your jars. It's making them airtight so that your jelly will not ruin. Now this is still runny, but it's okay because by tomorrow it'll be set. So we've got to just put the lids on all of these, and then we'll come back whenever I've got the hot water bath ready. This part's not in the instructions. The hot water bath part is not, but it's really simple. There's nothing to it. It's just a big pan of boiling water. So I'll show you that when you come back. So I am doing a hot water bath for my jelly. I have got just a stock pot with water, and I've got it turned up on high because I want it to start boiling pretty quick. And I'm just going to take my jars and set them into this pot. Don't overfill your pot, just put a few in there. Do a few at a time because they're going to be rattling with the boiling, and you don't want them to be hitting each other and maybe causing one to break. So just put a few jars in, and when your water starts to boil, don't start your timer until the water boils, but when it does, then boil them for 10 minutes. This will help the jars to heat up and the jelly inside to stay heated, and it'll help them to seal, and that will keep your jars safe for several months so that you can eat your jelly later on. This is the last step. When it's done, your jelly is done. It doesn't take a long time, but it is a little bit of a process. But I love to have fresh strawberry jelly, especially strawberry. It's my favorite one. I love to have fresh jelly. Sometimes it'll last the year. Sometimes it might just last a few months, depending on how often we're eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches or biscuits and jelly. But it's a fun thing to do. It's also a great gift if you want to use it as a giveaway. I have a really good Christmas jam recipe that I like to make at the holidays and use that as a giveaway or a gift giving. It's in our cookbook, the Cooking with Mo and Deb cookbook. The Christmas jam is. It's really good too. So that is the making of strawberry jelly. If you have any questions, post them. I'll be glad to answer them. I'm not an expert. I've just done it a few times. I love to make jellies and do all kinds of cooking, but this is the season for canning and preserving and making food that's going to last for a little while. So, hope y'all enjoyed making your own homemade strawberry jelly. See ya!